Peace, peace, peace. This is Anpu with another video on Question Everything. This will be part 2 to sleep paralysis. Now the first video, if you haven't watched part 2, make sure you watch part 1. And at the end of that video, I put a little clip of Malachi Z. York speaking about sleep paralysis, and as he also stated that, he spoke about how the sleep paralysis is related to entering other realms and dealing with other entities. And like I said, and plus the last video on part 1, I kind of spoke about my stages, what I went through as far as astral traveling. So sleep paralysis ties into out-of-body experiences and pretty much astral traveling and dreaming. So basically the dream realm. So this is what it all comes down to. It all ties into the same thing. I purchased this book about a week ago, Sleep Paralysis by Ryan Hurd. It's a real good book. This book kind of pretty much spoke about everything that I experienced. I mean, I bought this book a week ago and I already finished it. It's a small book, but it was so interesting and the information was so interesting, and I just couldn't put the book down because it's something that I actually experienced. And you experience too. This is one thing I have to keep stressing, that you are a multi-dimensional being. Your dreams are real. When you enter the dream state, your consciousness is going to another realm. It's many different names. I just like to use certain names to describe the experience. So I might use words like realms and dimensions. Some people, you gotta understand, you can't get too caught up with names, right? Even the name, the word human beings. You know what I'm saying? We're technically not human beings, but it's like if you're trying to describe something, this is the word you would use. And like I stated before the last video, we are not this physical body. Okay, we are from a higher place or higher realm, what you want to say. But even if you watch my videos on Question Everything, are we in hell? What I mean by that, another thing, like the word hell, like, you know what I'm saying, it's just labels, just names. Just know that this is what we live in right now is a lower realm. It's a lower vibration. The reason why, how you can tell, because everything is solid. Well, not everything is solid. You have water and air, but these bodies that we take on are, they solid. They made of matter, pretty much, right? Antimatter is dealing with the higher realms. You have matter and you have antimatter, right? Antimatter, it exists, but you just can't see it with the naked eye. You can't experience it within this in this realm. I mean, some people can. Some people have that ability to dwell deep into their consciousness and see things that are not visible to the eyes. And if you don't understand the science of vision, there's only like 3 type of strands of lights that we're able to see with these physical eyes, right? So you have to understand, how do you see when your eyes are closed? It's all mental. This is how you're able to see when you dream, or people that have these visions, or when you imagine, when you're using your imagination. Like me, I'm very in tune with my imagination. I'm very in tune with it. I'm into music, so I make music. And for those that don't know, when you on my channel and you see songs with Milano, that's me. So I'm a writer. I do music. I produce beats. So that's all using imagination. That's all using that that power that's within. And I always said that imagination and thoughts are real, and bringing thoughts to existence. Everything starts off with a thought. So me doing music, it starts off with a thought. How I'm going to go with this beat. Once I do the beat, how am I going to go in with the lyrics? So it's all thoughts first, and then it just comes out, and you create. We all gods. So me, I'm just expressing my abilities through my talents, through imagination. I am also an artist. I love to draw. I like to paint. I have a very artistic thing about me. I love art. And there's another thing. Like I haven't been drawing and painting in a very long time, but I think I'm probably gonna show a little bit on this video that just tapping into my art skills, because I haven't done it in so long. Like I said, I work with kids. I used to work at the boys club at one time, and I taught art. So I used to teach art. I took art in college. I've always was drawing ever since a little kid. I remember our house, apartment building caught on fire, and we was homeless. Me and my family was homeless, and we lived in the shelters. And I had to use my imagination to escape the madness that was surrounding me, because I was surrounded by a lot of negative energy. But I used my imagination to escape that. I used to meditate as a little kid, but didn't know what meditation was. I used to, being in a shelter, there's one room, I used to, sit on the edge of the bed and stare at the white wall at night and just visualize certain events where I want to be and what would I want to do and where I want to go. And you have to understand, when I was doing that, I was actually gone. I was actually in this place. I was actually doing these things. Imaginations is very real. And my older brother used to always tease me. I'll never forget that. And I was little. I was like 4 or 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I remember all this. Like 4 or 5 years old. And so it's just many different areas when it comes to imagination. And it all ties into thoughts. It all ties into dreams. It ties into sleep paralysis, astral traveling. It all ties in together. Most of these people, they come on YouTube and they talk about certain knowledge and stuff like that, but most of them don't have talent. They're not in tune with themselves. Like, what is your talent? What are you good at? A lot of people don't have no talent. Like, how can you? Like, my thing is, like, I could take a small picture, like this small, and draw it on a piece of paper this big. I could make it into a poster size. People be like, oh wow, you're so talented, you're so gifted. I've always had that. I was always in tune with it. So get in tune with your inner self. Get in tune with your imagination. Get in tune with your dreams, because they are all real. They are very real. And when you enter these realms, you're able to see certain entities, angels, whatever you want to call them, negative entities, whatever you want to call them, or demons or jinns, or even relatives that passed away. Now, my grandmother and my grandmother just recently passed away last year. My mom's, she passed away in 2007. And because I pay attention to my dreams, she has visited me many times. Many times. This is why I look at death in a different view. And this is why I was stressing in the last video that these are subjects that you really need to be studying, because at one point in time, your time is going to end and you're going to enter these realms. And this is why these videos are good to listen to and educate yourself and get the books that I talk about. I mean, I've mentioned many books on the subject that I've read myself, and these are pretty good books. I mean, if it's a book that's not that good, then I'm not going to reference that book. But just educate yourself on it, because eventually one day you are going to enter these realms. Well, it's not even that. You enter these realms every day. Like I said, some people just don't remember. And I think that is the biggest thing to know, the biggest thing to practice. Practice on your memory. Memory is very strong. So when you do cross over, you will have that memory of why you were here. You know, you will have those. You'll have the skills and techniques to know what to do. This is why the ancient Egyptians, when they mummified the bodies, right? You know, they always buried them in tombs with things that they owned or things that was belonged to them, right? It could be gold, it could have been certain herbs and foods, it could have been certain artifacts like statues and stuff like that, and sculptures. It could have been pets. It could have been their servants that was buried with them. See, the reason why they did this is so that they can remember. So when you go into, you know, the next level, when you go into the highest state, once you leave this physical body, you know, these ancient pharaohs would see their tomb and see all the things that was buried with them, and then they would have, like, it would give them clues to remember. Because sometimes you might go into these realms. This is why, like, some people that have, like, accidents, you know, with deaths, when you're dealing with death, well, I don't like to use the word death, transcend, right? Like I said, you never die. So when people transcend, and they say through an accident, something can happen so fast, and that person won't even realize that they gone, that they moved on to the next level. And there's many movies that, you know, showed you this. The movie Ghost, with Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg. You know what I'm saying? He got killed and through a robbery, but he didn't realize that his body was dead. Right? He chased off the robber, and then when he came back, he saw his wife holding his body. You know, because that was his astral body. And because that's, like I said, that is like the fourth realm, because the fourth dimension, because I give it that name. That's the best way I can describe it, because everything looks the same. Like they were on a street, you know, the trains is passing and stuff like that. He can see his girl, he can see his own body, right? And there's a very key point within that movie too, is that when certain negative souls that went into that realm that died, like the guy that killed Patrick Swayze in that movie, as you notice that there was like these shadow beings that came out the shadows and grabbed the body and took them to the lower realms, a lower realm than what we in right now. Okay, and that's all symbology. Like I said, Hollywood always give you clues. They give you it. They give you the information. It's just that people don't take it serious, right? Another movie, Beetlejuice. When Beetlejuice, when the wife, the couple flew over the bridge and they died, it happened so fast they didn't even realize that they were dead. So this is what happens when you get souls or spirits that don't realize that they transcended. They get trapped in this fourth realm, because like I said, everything is the same. I've been there, trust me. You know, it's kind of hard to like make people believe, or you know, really, you know, take me serious. Like, what am I benefiting coming on the internet speaking on this matter? But one thing, to help others that are like me, and others, and educate others, just to have that knowledge on this subject. So, you know, this book, like I'm saying, Sleep Paralysis, is a very deep book. It's spoken, like, look at the picture. Like, you see, it has a shadow entity within the book. I mean, they know what they talking about. You know, this book is like, wow, okay. It's just another validation of someone that had the experience and sharing it. It's just the same thing what I'm doing just through these videos. And like I said, if you go to my other videos, to my astral traveling videos, I numbered them. I documented 39 times that I've done it, and I go through these experiences step by step. I'm giving the world my experience, what I experience within these realms, and what to expect if you happen to go through these realms. Because you got to understand that the planet is speeding up. The vibration on this planet is speeding up. A lot of things are happening. And information. This is the time for information. So information is going to be pouring out. A lot of things, is going to be exposed. This is why when I started questioning everything, I dealt with religion, because we have been under this religious spell for so long that it kind of like messes up your psyche of what you really are. Stop worshiping entities outside of yourself when all the information and all you need is within. Look within yourself, and like I said, your higher self will speak to you. Information will start coming. I mean, every time I do my research on a certain topic and stuff like that, things just happen and the information just comes. It comes to me. Like, I call for it and it comes to me. Just like I was when I did this song, if you listen to my songs, I just recently uploaded this song, She Is God, right? And I also did a video on questioning everything about She Is God, and I broke down the science on that. Some people agreed and some people disagree. I'm not saying it's right and I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm doing is making you question it. That's it. I'm not saying that I'm 100% right, and I'm not saying that I'm wrong. But let's question that. Because once you start questioning things, like I said, it starts with a thought. It's that electrical charge that runs through your brain that gives you that inner image, right, of the thought. And it does something to you. It does something to your DNA. It does something to your blood. It does something to your consciousness and your awareness. It does something to your belief system. Because once you start tapping into other knowledges, it could be shocking, and sometimes it can be painful, because you lived your life being so religious and stuff like that, and you find out most of the stuff is plagiarized or stolen, or it just doesn't make sense to you, or it doesn't fulfill you. You're going through so much and you're praying to this God and you're still going through hell. And it's just like, really? But but this is why I want you to question. I want you to question sleep paralysis, because everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through it. I'm just bringing this subject into light, right? So in this book, I'm gonna it's pretty good. I'm not gonna read too much of it. I just want to give a little bit insight on what's in the book. I kind of highlighted certain things. I'm reading from the book. All right. So it says, sleep paralysis nightmares are still a mystery to medical science. Right. So it's a mystery. They don't understand it yet. They studying it, but they truly don't understand it. Right. Even though 40% of the world's population reports having these experiences at least once in their lives, right? 40% of the world's population. So you got to think about it. When you think about mathematics and the percentage and the amount of beings that's on this planet, that's a lot of people that have these experiences, right? Also, I highlighted the visions that accompany sleep paralysis feel as real as waking life, because they are actually occurring in a state of mind that is part of dream vision and part physical reality. This is why I stated in my videos that they are real. And whenever I'm in these realms, it's real. Like, it feels so real that it's like the waking life. It is no different. The only difference is that you have more abilities than you would have here in this third dimension. You will have more abilities, and I spoke about that in the last video. And I'll touch again on the abilities probably at the end of this video. So here it said, I didn't find out for several years for that this was a textbook example of a sleep paralysis nightmare. I thought I was haunted by demons, but I was so embarrassed to tell anyone because it sounded crazy. But I knew what I experienced felt real because I was awake when it happened. This is what this guy is saying. And I said the same thing. Now, I just bought this book a week ago, right? I've been speaking about astral traveling, you know, it's been a couple of years now. So, I mean, this guy is saying the same thing what I've mentioned within my personal experience in my journal. It's you know, when you meet certain entities, like I said, when you enter the state, it's all fear. You know, it's the unknown. You don't know what's going on, and then you see these shadows of beings that's next to your bed or trying to touch you, or just, you know, making certain sounds and growling, or even speaking to you, even whispering things to you. I mean, I've had experiences when the shadow beings has spoke a language that I've never heard of. It sounded like an ancient language, but I couldn't understand it. But it was trying to communicate, right? And like I said, and like he said, he was embarrassed to tell anyone. I've been through this experience for many years, and I didn't tell anyone. Like I said, I've been going through this ever since a child. And when 2012 started, I started having, you know, more experiences around 2012. And a great friend of mine's, you know, she know who she is, Hathor, aka Isis. She, you know, she helped me out a lot. She was like my therapist. You know, we worked in the same building, and she's very heavy into the metaphysics. She's, you know, has a lot of knowledge, and, you know, she's not afraid of, you know, when we first met, I already knew she's not afraid to step out the box. So I shared the information to her. She was like one of the first people, you know, her and you know, and my girl, of course, like one of the first people that I expressed this to, because it was like, who can you tell, right? Who you could get help from? You know, you start saying this to your doctor, they're gonna end up putting you in a G building in a psychiatric hospital and end up giving you pills, right? But I'm not crazy, people. Listen, I'm sane, right? I'm not insane. You know, I have my marbles. I'm a very intelligent individual. It's just something that I experienced, and I just want to know more about it, and come to find out that we all go through it. So here I am sharing this information. It said, my hope is that the readers will learn quickly how to dance into this strange and mystical world without worrying, and learn in the measured stages what I learned through trial and error. Now, I done said that in my videos. Before reading this book, this is why I kept a journal, because I was trying to figure this out. Trial and error. How do I do this? How do I do that? Why am I doing this? Why am I going through this? Right? So, you know, it goes through a lot of things. This book is really good. So if you want to really go deep into sleep paralysis, and especially if you having this experience, this book will help you, as well as watching my videos and other YouTubers that's speaking on the same subject. This book is talking about the symptoms of sleep paralysis, and I've spoke about them, but let's see what he says, right? Being unable to move. I said that. Feel like being held down or experiencing a great weight pushing down on your chest, abdominal, or throat. And you do have that feeling, like you feel like, that's why when you see old paintings of sleep paralysis or astral traveling, they will have like a demon picture sitting on a person's chest, because that's the type of feeling you feel. Hearing strange sounds like buzzing or a crackling paper bag. That sound is your defense mechanism kicking in when you enter these realms to protect yourself. That's your third eye opening, and you vibrate. And like I said, you vibrate so hard. I mean, it gets so intense. It feels like a washing machine is in your head. It's like boo 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 boo, and it's scary feeling. So can you imagine you in your bed, you can't move, you're stiff, you open your astral eyes, you see a shadow entity standing next to your bed or next to your room or something, and then you feel this intense power at the same time. And when I first started having these vibrations, me not doing my homework, me not knowing what was going on, I used to think that these shadow entities was doing this to me, not knowing that it was my own power, it was my own vibration. So I was basically giving them credit for something that I possess and you possess, right? So yeah, hearing the strange sounds, that's definitely true. Feeling like gravity is shifting around, or that you are floating or sinking. See, because that's what happens when you go through sleep paralysis. When you go through sleep paralysis, your third eye opens, you start vibrating so hard that you break away from your physical body, and this is what makes you feel like you're floating. I've had experiences that when sleep paralysis kicked in, the vibration kicks in, and I begin to separate from my body, and I remember feeling hovering. You feel so light, like you hovering over your body. And this is why you have that ability to fly in these realms, right? Experiencing difficulty in breathing. The reason why you experience difficulty in breathing is because of fear. One of my videos, I spoke about the science of breath, right? You can breathe. See, we just breathe normally just to take a certain amount of oxygen to just sustain life. But there are certain techniques of breathing. That's why when you do yoga, you breathe a certain way. When you meditate, you breathe a certain way, right? When a woman's giving birth, they are taught to breathe a certain way. When you get angry, you'll breathe a certain way, right? So this is what happens when you have like sleep paralysis, because it's fear, even fear. When you're scared, or when you have an anxiety attack, that's why people take a paper bag and they blow into it, because you're trying to control your breath. So this is what happens when you go through sleep paralysis. You'll experience difficulty in breathing because it's fear. It ties into fear because you can't move, right? Pounding heart, same thing. It's dealing with fear. It says experiencing extreme fear and terror, followed by strong emotions after it's over. And it's true. I done had many astral traveling experiences. Some were good and some were bad. And it kind of plays with your mind, because you come out of it, you have no one to talk to, and it kind of messes with you. If you're not a strong individual, this type of experience can make you go crazy. I'm just glad I had the certain people in my life that helped me. I'm glad that I went within myself. I'm glad I did the research, and that kind of helped. And me doing this video is, like I said, also was therapy for me to speak out to the world, right? So yeah, it can affect you emotionally, because like I said, at some times I'll feel like, man, why me? Why am I going through this? But then some experiences, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I want to share this with everybody. Hey, yo, guess what? I was flying last night. I was flying over my house, and I went to another dimension. I met this type of being, and it's like, who do you share these things with? And people probably think you're crazy, right? Here it says, what are other symptoms that could happen? It says having an out-of-body experience. That's what I've been talking about this whole time, right? Having an out-of-body experience, OBE. Because once that sleep paralysis comes in, you're able to separate. It kind of wiggles your spirit out, your soul out, and then you're able to journey. Okay. Feeling slight electrical current all over the body, especially in the head. That's the vibration. That's what I was talking about. You'll feel that vibration. When that third eye opens, it's like a gush of energy, and it goes through your whole body, but you will mainly feel it right here. Right? Seeing spiders and insects and other creepy crawlies all over the room. Now, I've had one experience that I had an out-of-body experience. I went through the sleep paralysis state. I opened my astral eyes, and it was like this creature that was right beside my bed. And the way I described it, it was like transparent, like it was see-through, but I was able to see it, like a jellyfish, and it was like an octopus / spider, because it had like tentacles, and it was moving, and I was just looking at it like, what in the hell is this? Like, and it was a weird. I mean, it didn't do anything. It didn't try to attack me. Nothing. It was just there watching me, and it just drifted away. And as it drifted away, it just disappeared. And I found that, very strange. So yeah, there it is. This guy's saying the same thing I'm saying. Let's see. Feeling a presence in the room, like someone is watching you. Yes. All the time. The shadow beings, like once I started getting to advance, like I spoke about in my first video, I spoke about the stages that I was in. When in the first, second, third stage, they were messing with me. They would be there all the time. But then once I got to that fourth stage, when I was able to leave my physical body and protect myself, and I was able to fight them, because like I said, they were afraid of me. There were times that I would separate. I would stand up in the room, look around. I won't see them, but I can feel their presence. It's very strange. And I spoke about this too. It's like we still have that in this third dimensional world. This dimension that we're in now. It's like saying you got your back turned, right? And someone's creeping up behind you. You don't hear them, but your senses is like telling you to turn around. It's the same thing, but 10 times stronger. It's like someone is in the room with you, right? You know it's there. And I've had experiences that I would feel the sleep paralysis. I would have my eyes closed because of fear. This is in my early stages. I would feel it come near me, and as it got closer, my vibration got higher, and then I could feel it moving away, and as it moved away, my vibration got lower. So that vibration is your protection, right? This is what I realized. I didn't know through all this time, but researching, reading the book, it kind of speak about that. Listen to other people speak upon it, lectures. Your vibe, that's your shield. They can't penetrate that. Okay. It says seeing like nightmarish or methodical figures, like seeing different type of monsters and stuff like that. I've seen one entity that had like a real huge head. The 3 shadow beings that I've normally seen, it was like one was small as a little boy, one was like the size of a woman or a man, and the other one was really tall. And it was always those 3. I'm trying to think of whatever other experiences that I've seen. Oh, I've actually looked real deep within the shadow beings' features, and what I've saw and what I experienced, they look like gray aliens, some reptilian type of alien type of being. I mentioned that in one of my astral traveling experiences. So yeah, that I actually experienced, but never like no monster type thing. I mean, I've entered the astral realms and I've seen feline beings. Yeah, they're like cat people. This is why they got that movie Avatar. Even the Broadway show Cats. Cats is very deep. When you go into the ancient Egyptians teachings, when you go into their world, they have a cat goddess, Bass and Bassett. They with a cat head in a humanoid body. I've actually seen these type of beings in the higher realms, as well as like I spoke in my last video on sleep paralysis, like this blue type being, and he had like spikes coming out his shoulders. But he was very approachable and very friendly. Like I got a good vibration from it, so I wasn't afraid of it. Being touched by an entity during a sleep paralysis, that happened to me. Like I said, I've had experience with shadow beings holding their hands over me, and one of them, I remember grabbing my forearm, and it felt cold. Like that's the best way I could describe it. It just felt real cold, but it wasn't my physical arm, it was my astral arm. So it's kind of hard like to describe this, but yeah, so that I experienced. Feeling all of the above as more real than real, accompanied by full awareness. And this is why I said, listen, when you enter these rooms, when you have lucid dreams, when I speak about lucid dreams, I am conscious. I am fully aware. I know what's going on. It's different than a dream, okay? A regular dream, you just playing it out. Like I said before, I dream every day. You know, sometimes I write it down, sometimes I don't. It depends on what the dream is. Like most of my dreams is just be like regular life, like, you know, I'm going to work or going to school. You know, I've always had the reoccurring dream that I didn't finish college, right? Because I graduated from college, but I always had that dream that I didn't finish. So like I said before, dreams are your desires, your fears, and message. You know, you can get messages through dreams. So just being fully conscious is a wonderful thing to experience. For those that had lucid dreams, you know what that's like. It's amazing because you're in the dream state and you're just like in awe, like, oh my God, I'm dreaming right now. Like, whoa, this is crazy. And some people out there, you know, y'all can't even remember a dream. You know, it just tells you where you at spiritually. You know, you're not there yet, and it's okay. You know, everybody has their time. You know, some people advance faster than others. There are you know, beings that are highly advanced, more advanced than me, that can do this at will and can do it whenever. You know, they can do it through a meditation state. That's where I'm trying to get now. This is why I've been studying more meditation. I'm trying to get into leaving my physical body through a meditation state. This is why the Buddha monks, this is why they be on those mountains in the Himalayas and they be meditating for hours or days. You know, their physical body is here, but their consciousness is gone. They gone. And another movie where I told you to watch too is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, you know, they went a little deep on astral traveling. So also, you know, this book gives you some tips on how to break away from sleep paralysis. So if you're going through a sleep paralysis state, like I said, it could be very scary, so you probably don't want to experience it. So if you don't want to experience it, this book gives you some tips to break out of it. Like when I was young, like I said, from age when I got taken away from my mom, like that was the earliest stage. From then all the way to like 2012, right? I don't want to put my age out there, but I'm 38 now, right? So when I was 7, you know, that was like what, 1987. It was years ago, right? So throughout all these years, I've had sleep paralysis experiences, but I would never fully let it go through. I would break out of it. And my way of doing it at that time, I used to just try to wiggle my whole body and try to scream, try to move my leg. You know, it's been times I'll be next to, you know, my wife next to my bed. I'll be trying to kick her so she could break me out of it. Because there's been times I'll have sleep paralysis and by accident she'll roll over and touch me and I'll break out of it. But this book gives you some tips. The first tip, it says to don't fight it, right? Just let it be. And I had to learn that the hard way. You see, when I stopped fighting it, that's when I realized that I was able to leave my physical body and do these other wonderful things. So don't fight it, just let it do its thing. And try to, the most important thing is try to conquer your fear. That's the most important thing, is the fear. It says surrender and go with the flow. So just let it go, let that vibration go, because what that vibration is doing is, like I said, is separating you from your spiritual body, from your physical body. Another tip they gave you is wiggle your toes. It worked. I've done that before. Like, I try to wiggle my toes, clench your fists, and try to move your leg or so, because like I said, you're paralyzed. Another focus is said, focus on your breath. Because of fear, you breathe a certain way. You take short breaths. When you're afraid and you're nervous, you don't realize it, but your breath changes. So you will take short breaths, meaning you're taking in less oxygen or prana. For those that do yoga and meditate, they call it prana. Air is an entity of its own. That's what the native Indians in the Veda, native Indians, they speak about or even in the Orisha and Voodoo, they speak about the gods as in nature, right? The air god, the fire god, the water god, the nature, the grass, and all that. It has its own entity. It's alive. So, breath is alive. The air is alive. It's an entity of its own. So, breath, control your breath. Take deep breaths, nice and slow. Control the rhythm. Also helps. Learn to love and find courage. That's very powerful. That tip right there is very powerful, because when I looked up this one YouTuber, and he spoke about how he got rid of the shadow beings and how he did it, I learned from him. He said all I did was been nice to them. He came with positive energy, and I tried it, so it worked for me. And once I started doing that, the entities couldn't get out of me what they wanted, which was the fear. Because the fear comes with a certain adrenaline, and that adrenaline produces a certain energy, and that energy is what they need, is what they sucking from you. And this is why when you come out of these states, you feel very weak. This is why when you have nightmares, you feel very weak, because they are taking your energy. That's why I said, look up my video, Shadow Beings. I went deep in that. I might have to go into another one. I might have to do a part 3 because there's so much information about it. But that comes into place as well. So breath is good. Love, just being positive is very good. So, and after I started doing that, they stopped coming around. I stopped having that experience with them, right? Because it's the unknown. But once you know, you are in full control. It also speaks about getting help from your sleep partner, right? That's also can help you. But in my case, it was very hard because my wife, in the beginning time, I was afraid to tell her, but because she was the closest, to me, so I shared it with her, and she didn't take the information well at first. It kind of made our relationship a little rocky. She thought I was going crazy. But then when I started presenting her the information and look at this movie, what are they showing you? Look at this. And then she was then she became more open. And plus at that time, she was still into religion. And then once I broke her away from that religious spell and started showing her certain things, then she became more conscious. And then she became more helpful with me expressing it. But in the beginning, it was a good friend, Hathor. She was the one, and my master teacher, Thoth. They are the two that I was the one I went to and spoke to them. So speaking to someone also helps. And this is what I'm doing. I'm sharing this with the world. So this helps me, and I'm helping you. It's like a reoccurring positive energy going back and forth. It also says coughing can help. I don't know how that can help. I never tried it, but trying to cough will probably break away from that. Yeah, so basically, yeah, so I'm gonna stop right there. I don't want to make this too long. So I'm gonna make another part, man. I gotta go in. So right now we just speaking about the topic of it, basics of it, the symptoms. I broke down the symptoms of it. Also, I just broke down from the book. So I'm taking information from the book, and I've spoke about most of the stuff on my own journal. So I mean, it is what it is. But also speaking about how to break away from it. So on the next video I do, you know, I'll show you how to have this experience if you want to, if you daring enough to do it, if you brave enough to do it. Test your power, test your ability. But like I said before, we all do it. Every time you go to sleep at night, or if you're taking a nap during the day, your consciousness is leaving your body. So like I said, until we meet again, journey well. Peace.